Hello friends, Jenkins here, bringing you another Dota 2 video, the first of which that I'm not memeing in the intro. In fact, this entire video is basically going to be the introduction because I've failed to record this about a dozen times because I'm trying to one-take it. And what I'm going to be talking about in this video is problems that I had trying to go pro in Dota. So my intent with this video is just maybe you've had similar issues, and me talking about it and how I solved my problems could maybe help you, or at the very least, you'll know that you're not alone in having certain issues. So my first problem that I had when I was going pro is an inability to accept criticism, but not in the way that you would necessarily expect. So the reason this was a hard problem for me to solve was because it was masquerading as something else. So the way that I solved this issue was essentially just the realization that I couldn't accept criticism. So basically what would happen is I would make a play in Dota, somebody would criticize me for that play and say that was bad, and I usually agreed with that. I usually agreed it was bad, and they would offer a solution, and then I would disagree with the solution that they offered, and I would argue. So the problem with this is that we would always have these hour-long discussions anytime somebody said something that I disagreed with when they came up with a solution. And my excuse for this was, I'm a math major, I'm a computer science guy, I want things to be fact, I want things to be either true or false. You can't say something that's kind of 50-50. And it's not good, because what happened was we would have these hour-long discussions where the conversation would devolve to just these random nuances of strategy, semantics, and all these useless conversations that didn't really matter and just took away from the original criticism. And the reason it doesn't matter is because in Dota, things are too fast-paced, too competitive to spend crucial hours where you're just arguing about dumb shit and you should be practicing or taking some time to bond with your team, for example. So my second issue was a lack of confidence and therefore a lack of a solid opinion of the game. Where this affected me the most was that generally when I play on a team, I tended to think that I was the worst player on the team. So anytime somebody would say, Jenkins, in this situation, you need to do this, I would get into that situation and do exactly that. So where the issues arose was, we all know as Dota players that many people in this game have strong opinions on things and conflicting opinions. And this is where I had issues. If I got into a situation where I didn't have a flow chart that somebody had told me to do a specific thing, I wouldn't do anything, or I'd do something incredibly stupid. So this is obviously very bad. And this is why I tell people when I'm coaching, don't follow your team into shitty decisions. You'd rather formulate a strong opinion on Dota that's wrong as long as it's strong, instead of just having no opinion at all. One of the biggest game-losing things that you can do in this game is to sit around and do nothing and just try not to lose. You need to actually actively go out and try to win. Otherwise, if you don't have a lead, you're just going to lose Dota. And a lot of the time, you don't have a lead, but you can still end up winning. So that's obviously very game-losing. Of course, I'm not advocating that you should have this strong opinion of yourself and think that you play perfectly and not improve, but you should essentially look at what people are doing, form your own rationale for why they're doing stuff, and then use that as a backbone to deduce things rather than to just think people are good and this action is good because of this. You need a backbone that you're formulating. So my third problem, and this is kind of an ongoing one, is anxiety. So I would have anxiety in solo queue, even though I was playing pro at the time. I would have anxiety when I played officials, that is competitive matches. I would get anxious sometimes in scrims that my team was judging me and that they'd want to kick me, or that they just would think that I'm playing bad, and it would get worse and worse as the game progressed. And a solution for this has been making things boring, making things so routine for myself that I can't get anxious. So in real life, I have some routines. Like I have tea right here. I always do that. Every morning I get my tea, and I have a certain routine that I do with that where I feel like every day, no matter what I'm doing, even if I'm doing something exceptionally different, it feels normal. And in Dota, you can do this by spamming heroes to the point where they're boring to you. So I was recently playing a game with Sumail, Forev, like 5 other notable Tier 1 players, and normally this would make me really anxious because I would want to perform well in a game like that, and I'd end up performing worse. But these days, when I played that game, I was able to deal with it, and I was able to deal with it because I played 5 Nature's Prophet. And I play this hero so much that I was overwhelmed in that game, not by the fact that I really wanted to perform and that it was this unfamiliar situation for me. It was by boredom. And I'd much rather that than an overwhelming sense of anxiety. So essentially, just make things routine, spam heroes until you're bored. The boredom's really important. You have to get to that point, and I know it sucks, but it's better than anxiety. So I'd like to think that these things can extend outside of Dota, but it's, of course, conjecture, and I need the proper experience to back that up, but I don't think it's too unreasonable to make such a claim. So barring mostly the anxiety, I have improved massively on all of these issues when I was trying to go pro, because of course that was a couple of years ago. And mainly I've been doing this, improved on these things by stepping outside of my comfort zone and doing stuff that I have never done before, such as casting events, where through osmosis I've just gotten better, like socially, intellectually, through working with people that are smarter than me. Going to the gym has helped out, just like essentially doing things that force me to not be able to make these excuses has helped me a lot in playing better Dota. So unfortunately, I don't have a big philosophical conclusion for you other than focusing on these things has helped me, I think, improve as a person in general. But, I hope that there are a few people out there, at the very least, that can relate to these problems, and now you just know that you're not on your own. Like, this is something that I've dealt with, and I know that a lot of other people on the pro scene have dealt with similar issues as well. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to my rant. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video.